The 2026 race for Ohio governor came into much clearer focus this past week. Ahead on Face the State, the leading candidates announced their lieutenant governor running mates. Ramaswamy and McCauley on the Republican ticket, Acton and Pepper on the Democratic. Hear from the candidates as the race for governor kicks into high gear. Also, one-on-one with Republican Senator Jon Husted on the big issues of the day, from what's next for America's role in Venezuela to the fight over health care credits in Congress to ICE operations in Minneapolis and other American cities. Plus, the transformational power of theater, how the contemporary theater of Ohio looks to engage with the community and create connections. Its new leader joins me to talk about the mission of the theater and what to expect in 2026. Thanks for joining us for Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. It didn't take long into the new year for the race for governor to really hit the ground running. The leading contenders now have running mates to join them on the campaign trail. Vivek Ramaswamy and Amy Acton named their lieutenant governor choices on the same day, just hours apart. Amy Acton announced David Pepper as her pick for lieutenant governor running mate. Pepper was chairman of the Ohio Democratic Party from 2015 to 2021. He is a lawyer who is also the son of a former Procter & Gamble CEO. Acton said Pepper has a track record as a pragmatic problem solver at the local level, which she said will serve as an asset to her campaign. You'll hear from them in just a minute. Republican gubernatorial candidate Vivek Ramaswamy introduced his choice for running mate at an event in Cleveland the same day.
With the goal of actually getting things done, there is no better person in this state to achieve that with me and for me than our Senate President, Rob McCauley.
McCauley was elected Ohio Senate President in January of 2025. At the event, McCauley shared why he accepted Ramaswamy's offer.
And as I've come to know Vivek, I know him as a man of faith, and I know his faith drives him as well to be a devoted husband to his wife, Apurva, to be a devoted father to his two sons, and soon to be a daughter on the way. That same drives him to have the purpose and conviction to lead Ohio.
Also on that same day, Governor Mike DeWine endorsed Ramaswamy for governor. In a statement, DeWine said, in part, Ohio is winning new business projects from the coasts, and Vivek will keep the momentum going. Vivek Ramaswamy knows that Ohio is the best state to build a business, raise a family, and pursue your vision of the American dream. 10 TV's Kevin Landers takes a deeper look now at who the candidates for lieutenant governor are, and they could not be more opposite when it comes to their political views.
54-year-old David Pepper is the former head of the Ohio Democratic Party who left in 2021. I asked him why he's jumping into politics now.
It's a crisis time. People are struggling. And it's time for good people to get involved and do something about it.
41-year-old Rob McCauley served in the Ohio Senate since 2017 and was elected president of the Ohio Senate in 2025. McCauley is 100% pro-life and supported the heartbeat bill. Pepper is pro-choice and led the charge to enshrine the right to abortion in the state's constitution. McCauley was an outspoken critic of Dr. Amy Acton's role as a director of the Ohio Department of Health during COVID. He supported legislation to end the government shutdown and supported stripping Acton's power by limiting the length of her directives. Acton stepped down from her post under political pressure. I asked her if she has the stomach to lead if facing the same pressures as governor.
I wouldn't be doing this if I'm not tough enough. I refuse to look the other way. We deserve better in Ohio, and I'm going to give this everything to solve the problems of everyday life.
Pepper was a staunch supporter of Acton while she was the health commissioner, saying her aggressive approach saved lives. He called the Republican response against her policies reckless behavior. Both Pepper and McCauley are law school graduates. Pepper graduated from Yale Law School, McCauley from Toledo College of Law. Pepper is from Cincinnati. McCauley is from Napoleon in northwest Ohio, southwest of Toledo. Pepper says he and Acton are committed to reducing child care costs and reducing the cost of home ownership.
The state's at a point where it needs a clear, dramatic change, and maybe for the first time in a long time, people are connecting the dots that the reason they are feeling so little breathing room and so stressed on every part of their life is in part because the state of Ohio isn't serving them.
That was Kevin Landers reporting. Both parties expect to spend millions to win this election. The Ramaswamy campaign announced it has raised nearly $20 million. Acton says she plans to release her fundraising total soon. I talked with a Democratic and a Republican strategist about the running mate selections. Both like their candidates' choices. And Democratic strategist Joe Retoff says David Pepper is a strong selection. He's the former chair of the Ohio Democratic Party, former Cincinnati City Councilman and County Commissioner, who has also run for statewide office. Retoff says he's a good fundraiser who knows a lot of people and understands the whole state.
He has years of experience, hard campaigner, relationships across the state, has been to all 88 counties multiple times. These are deep relationships with people that he has built over time. I know him personally. His work ethic is tireless.
Republican strategist Terry Casey focused on State Senator Rob McCauley's legislative experience. He is the Senate president and has served in the Senate for 7 years and the House before that. Plus, he gives some geographic diversity to the ticket, as Kevin mentioned, being from Napoleon in Northwest Ohio.
And it's important, if you're going to be an effective governor, to have somebody that knows and can work with the legislature. And he's also somewhat unusual for a person at his level as Senate president, somebody who's, as a politician, almost ego-free because he's more focused on getting the job done.
Both Retoff and Casey say the running mate is important on the campaign trail to get the message out, but ultimately people vote for the top of the ticket. And there are two other Republican candidates running for governor, Heather Hill and Casey Pusch. Hill chose Air Force veteran and reality TV star Stuart Moats as her running mate back in October of last year. Pusch, who is an automotive entrepreneur, has not yet announced a running mate. The Republican primary is coming up on May 5th. Ohio U.S. Senator Jon Husted is also up for re-election, running against former Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown. I caught up with Senator Husted to talk about the big issues of the day, including ICE operations in Minnesota and around the country, the fight over health care costs in Congress, and the U.S.'s role in Venezuela after U.S. forces captured President Nicolas Maduro, who now faces drug trafficking and other charges in the U.S. What about the idea of the United States running Venezuela? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that it has to be a collaboration at the moment because what you don't want to have happen is for it to go back to this lawless regime that was led under Nicolas Maduro. So the United States needs to have this involvement. We're doing it through economic levers right now. There's a quarantine on the oil that's coming out of Venezuela. That's their primary source of revenue. America is going to help sell that oil on the open market and make sure that the money that comes out of it isn't going to fund lawless regimes and drug traffickers. It's going to the Venezuelan people and institutions to restore economic stability. And once that economic stability is restored, then you can have democratic election.
Do you anticipate U.S. troops being on the ground in the country?
I do not anticipate U.S. troops being on the ground. If that were to happen, that we would need to have some type of congressional authorization to have it happen. Right now, it's being done through diplomatic channels, and that's the way it should be accomplished.
As we see what's unfolding in Minneapolis over the last couple of days, do you support continued ICE actions in cities around the country?
So when ICE is a legitimate part of the U.S. enforcement of our laws, when people are in this country illegally committing crimes, the president has made it clear that they need to follow the laws and ICE will enforce those laws. Mayors or governors don't get to decide where ICE operates. And ICE operations have led to the arrest and deportation of criminals who are guilty of drug trafficking, of child pornography, pedophilia, rape, murder. We're getting some of the worst people out of our country, and you're seeing the results of that because murder rates are going down. Communities are safer, but these are not. I know some of the ICE appearances are not welcome in some cities, but look, you got to follow the rule of law in this country. You can't have protecting people who are killers and rapists in this country. If they're here illegally, they need to go, and ICE operations are a legitimate part of federal law enforcement. And it's a tragedy, though, about what happened in Minneapolis yesterday. People should not try to interrupt ICE operations. That is obstructing justice. It is illegal, and unfortunately, tragedies can occur.
People do have the First Amendment right to protest. So how do you balance?
They do, but they cannot obstruct ICE operations.
I get that, but how do you balance, a federal program like ICE carrying out law enforcement actions while maintaining public calm during protests?
Well, people should stop inciting these protests. It's okay to have your voices heard, but you can't obstruct an ICE operation.
The Affordable Care Act tax credits, of course, are news this week as the chambers come back into session. The House is working on it. What do you anticipate happening? Do you see the ACA credits being extended and then working further on healthcare issues?
So let's just do a reset here. Obamacare has failed. It is very expensive, and people have limited a number of choices. We've seen consolidations, and so American healthcare consumers are in a pinch right now. My proposal extends it for 2 years, requires everybody to pay at least $5 a month for their premiums so that we don't have fraud of people getting illegally signed up, capping it at 700% of poverty so we're not subsidizing the premiums of millionaires, and then protecting to make sure that public funds are not being used to pay for abortions, which is a long-standing principle in this country. If we have bipartisan support for that, but I'm not sure we have enough votes yet.
You just introduced the Upward Mobility Act, and in it you wrote, Americans trapped behind a benefits cliff are disincentivized from pursuing higher paying jobs. Can you explain what your bill would do to change that?
I see people just getting trapped in poverty. If you're a single mom with 2 kids, you have food assistance, childcare assistance, housing assistance. You may work 20 hours a week making $17 an hour, but if you work 21 hours a week, you lose all of that assistance. Literally, you fall off what we call the benefit cliff. And so what happens is that people don't work. They get trapped in poverty. They can't ever get a raise or a promotion because they lose more in benefits than they gain in new salary. And so I'm trying to end that by creating a pilot program at the state level, creating a uniform funding stream that will allow people to earn more money, to work more hours, and then gradually see their benefits decline as they earn more so that it actually pays them to go to work.
And you can watch my full interview with Senator Husted on 10 TV Plus. Just download the app on your TV and watch for free. As I mentioned, former Senator Sherrod Brown is running against Senator Husted in the November election. Brown released a statement on the Trump administration saying the U.S. will run Venezuela. Brown says hundreds of thousands of Ohioans are struggling to make ends meet, yet Washington continues to make their lives harder while prioritizing foreign countries before our own. Ohioans are facing higher costs across the board and are desperate for leadership that will help deliver relief. We should be more focused on improving the lives of Ohioans, not Caracas. Next on Face the State, the Contemporary Theater of Ohio is now in its 41st year with a new leader. Her vision for the theater and how it aims to engage and inspire the community through art. For 40 years, the Contemporary Theater of Ohio has entertained audiences with its broad mix of theatrical productions. It's now moving into its 41st year under new leadership as Lita Hoffman takes the helm as producing artistic director. Hoffman is looking to guide the theater into its next phase. That includes expanding its statewide reach while telling stories that reflect the times and the issues facing Ohioans today. On its website, the theater's purpose is stated as harnessing the transformational power of theater that engages with our current moment to inspire a community of empathy. Joining me now to discuss all of that is Contemporary Theater of Ohio producing artistic director Lita Hoffman. Lita, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on the new role.
Thank you.
So what is your philosophy now as the leader of the theater heading into 2026 and your tenure at the top?
Yeah, so I've been here for 5 years, co-leading the organization with Christy Farnbaugh, and she's moved to a new job. So now I'm the producing artistic director and the sole leader of the organization, and I'm just excited to take us into the next chapter of telling stories that are made for Ohioans, by Ohioans. So I think it's just really exciting that we get to make our own work right here.
So is this all kind of locally or state
produced? So yes, everyone, we rehearse right here downtown, and everyone who works on our shows, for the most part, is from Central Ohio.
And you described the work, as I mentioned, harnessing the transformational power of theater to inspire empathy. What does that mean in practice?
Yeah, that means that it's my job to pick the shows that we do. And so we're doing plays and we're also doing education programs that are reaching out to lots of different people. And it's fun and inspiring, but also is going to make you think about the community around you. So what sort of issues are we talking about? What are things people want to digest? And making sure that when you come see a play, you think about the next steps of who you might want to connect with later.
And an interesting part of the philosophy is about loneliness and connection, and how the theater can play a role in that. So how do you see the theater bringing people together perhaps to address those issues?
I love the theater because we are all in the same room, right? Every performance is different, and you get to actually be there with audiences, and you get to see what the person next to you laughs about, right? And so because of that, we're all collectively processing something. It feels so different than watching a movie or a TV show at home on your couch. And I think because of that, we really are able to build empathy. Studies have shown that theater is able to combat loneliness because you feel connected and you feel like you're a part of something bigger.
What kind of issues then in these plays that you choose that are produced here, what are some of the themes then that you'll be tackling?
Yeah, so coming up in March, we're doing a show by an Ohio State alum, Jocelyn Bio, and it's a Broadway hit, Jaja's African Hair Braiding. It's set in an African hair braiding salon, and so the women in that salon at this small business are dealing with all of the issues of life and what it means to run a small business, be an entrepreneur. They also have lots of mixed immigration status within the folks who work in that shop, and so we're talking about really big ideas about immigration in America, while also like leaning into the gossip of a hair salon. So we do both of those things all at the same time.
Are these all like serious plays, or are there comedies, dramas, mixture?
Comedies, dramas, musicals, a mix, and honestly the best plays I think have a little bit of everything.
Absolutely. And so when you talk about bringing people together, maybe some people can't afford to go to the theater. Do you do anything in the Contemporary Theater of Ohio to draw those people in who maybe can't afford a normally priced ticket?
Yeah, absolutely. We have all sorts of access programs. We've got $20 student rush tickets, any single performance, and then the first two shows are preview performances before we officially open and we get reviewed. And those two shows are always pay what you want.
Pay what you want?
Yes. So you just show up at the theater and you tell us what you want to pay for your ticket and we let you in.
That does provide access, I would say. Now, you mentioned educational programs. What kinds of things do you do, and are you targeting a particular age group with your educational programs?
Yeah, most of our education programs are late elementary and middle school students, though we do some programming with high school students as well. And so what we're doing in our programs, be it a summer camp, a Saturday morning musical class, or a lot of work in different school districts, both after school and during the school day, the students are writing their own stories and then performing them. So we're working on all sorts of the literacy, sometimes science and history, and building all those curriculum things into a play that they write themselves.
And you're also looking to expand your statewide reach.
Absolutely.
How?
Yeah, our education programs are growing so that we've got folks teaching further and further afield, right? We're getting, up into Delaware County, and so being able to grow beyond Franklin County, and as well, I think getting audiences to come into the theater. Mm-hmm. We've had student groups drive up from Cincinnati to see our shows. So being able to expand that conversation throughout the whole state right here at the center is really important to us.
Big picture, Why is theater important in a community?
Yeah, I think theater is a place, is a community gathering place. And so, there's a line from Shakespeare about theater holds a mirror up to nature. And I think that by gathering together in one location to look at a story, to look at characters on stage, we get to see ourselves. And so it's a gathering place that is fun and joyous, and also a gathering place to go, oh, who are we? What are the things that we value, and how do I want to show up for my community?
We just have a little bit of time left. The first production you said is coming up in March,
Yeah.
So how can people get more information or find out how to buy tickets?
Yeah, so our website is thecontemporaryohio.org, and that's the best place to find out about all of our upcoming shows, including our new season we're announcing on February 2nd.
Preview? Oh, you already gave us one that's coming out. We know that. So, well, Lita, thank you so much, and best wishes in your first year and the 41st year for the theater.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Well, next on Face the State, a new initiative to reduce suicide among Ohio men. A father shares his story of loss and turning it into something positive, why he believes the initiative will make a real difference. The Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation is launching a new 2-year initiative to reduce suicide among Ohio men. I caught up with one man who knows all too well how important this initiative could be. On July 8th of 2019, Matthew Reif died by suicide at the age of 33.
It was just one of those things you just never see coming.
Dave Reif says his son struggled on and off with mental illness, and the family tried everything to get him help.
You spend your whole life, your main priority is to protect your children, and there's just something you can't fix, no matter how hard we tried.
Dave feels the pain too many Ohio families feel, a majority of them families of men and boys. The 2023 suicide report from the Ohio Department of Health shows of the 1,777 suicides that year, 1,441 were males, 8 out of every 10.
Having men be a focus of our suicide prevention efforts is absolutely needed, and something that's quite frankly been overlooked for a number of years.
The Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation just launched a 2-year initiative focused on men. It expands training for healthcare professionals to recognize and help people in crisis, expands the Man Therapy program to give working men tools and resources and reach them where they are, expands the LifeSide Ohio program that promotes the safe storage of weapons, and launches a statewide community of practice initiative to bring men together to make mental health conversations more normal.
But if we can get men talking about mental health, recognizing that there might be some problems, and then seeking the care that they need, we believe that this will save lives and reduce our suicide numbers across the state.
Dave Reif's emotional journey has led him to now be the board chairman of the Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation.
Something good has got to come out of something so tragic.
He believes the initiative would have helped his son Matthew and will help other Ohio men.
So if we can prevent one family from going through what my family's been through, then this is 100% worthwhile. This is everything.
The initiative is funded by a grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention through the Ohio Department of Health. It focuses on 10 counties, including Marion, Clark, and Richland. But Coder says the resources reach men in every community around the state. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide or just need a calming voice to talk to, you can call or text the 988 Suicide and Crisis Hotline, or Lifeline that is, any time of the day or night. Just dial 988. And that's all of our time for today. Thank you so much for joining me this week for Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. I'll see you back here next Sunday at 11:30.